Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar. Like today, we discuss the opportunity for hotels to leverage AI in order to better recover from the crisis and become more resilient in the future. Okay, the three main benefits of AI are basically reducing manual workload on staff and basically maybe being able to operate with fewer staff. Okay, which is great when you are in a context where basically the tourism can be very cyclical and there can be all of a sudden a lockdown. Okay, so the ability to depend a little bit less on staff is important. It's also and we will see quite useful to increase sales and of course deliver an experience that is personalized to each guest. But if we want to leverage all these benefits, we need to be sure that like at the hotel level, the decision maker is able to properly kind of evaluate the opportunity that AI represent for his or her property, and of course leverage this technology properly. Okay, so I don't know why I can't change my slides, but it's okay. About me, I'm Ben. Okay, I've been working in technology since I started working actually 10 years ago. I've always been on the innovation side, and the reason for this is that I realized that being an investor and an entrepreneur that works on innovation proves much more profitable because that's where you get the best opportunities. But of course, if you want to be an innovator, if you want to be able to see things before they're obvious, you need to be very good at evaluating. And today I will be sharing with you how I decided to invest in AI a few years ago, how I built my company around it, and hopefully some of the advice will be useful for you because right now you are at a crossroads where you're trying to get over a crisis that was absolutely terrible, and you're trying probably to rethink the mix between manual work and technology. And AI can be great to like find a new equilibrium. Okay, so I still don't know why I can't change slides, but no worries. Okay, so at the moment, this is kind of an accurate description of AI in hospitality. Okay, you have a need. Okay, hoteliers that are working a lot and probably not able to do everything they need to do, and a new opportunity that right now looks a little bit weird and that people are not sure that they should use. Okay. There are, of course, some hoteliers that are investing in like kind of futuristic things, etc. But it's not always working. For example, here I'm showing you a screenshot of a picture of like the Hotel Enna in Japan that decided to invest kind of in a futuristic robotic vision, and it didn't work very well. Okay, because like the problem here is that people understood there that robots, AI, etc., and technology in general were a big asset. But instead of thinking of what customer needed, they decided to go nuts in like, I don't know if it's Jurassic Park or Terminator mindset. Okay, and ultimately this was a catastrophe. Okay, I mean they are even now scaling down their kind of usage of robots, etc. Okay, so basically there is an opportunity, but if you evaluate it wrong, you'll end up with some results that are not very good. Okay, so basically today what we will see is basically that if you want to properly leverage, I don't know why I can't share my screen. That's I can't move my slides, but it's okay. Give me 1 second. When you're thinking about AI, you shouldn't do like the Hotel Edna or Enna. You should actually focus on what people really need. Okay, and right now there is one thing that is extremely important for especially e-commerce. It's mobile. Okay, customers are leveraging their mobile for pretty much everything, even looking at and buying stuff on the internet. And the DNA of mobile is interaction. So basically, your job is to kind of adapt your content and make your e-commerce strategy accessible on mobile. And it's just not about making your content fit in a smaller screen. It's about rethinking the way you imagine e-commerce. So let me just explain to you a few things about that. So you see, in the 2000s, there was the first digital wave. That was the first websites. That's when Booking appeared. That's when Expedia appeared, etc. And to happen, e-commerce needed computers, needed Google browsers such as Yahoo, such as whatever browsers that you can think of. They needed people to have an internet connection, and that enabled a behavior that was called search. And if you want to be able to properly innovate, you need to know your history very well. That's what I've tried to remind you a few moments ago, like, what enabled e-commerce in the 2000s. And now you're probably asking yourself, why is this dude trying to explain to me what e-commerce was in the 2000s? Well, basically, because when you are thinking about the future, usually think about improving what you already have. When in fact, what you should do is go one step back. You say, okay, what was e-commerce based on? Okay, it was based on personal computers. So what is the nature of personal computers? It's a hardware. What is the nature of a browser? It's a software that enables me to move from my hardware to the website I want to go to. The modem enables me to kind of access your content from my home. And the behavior it promotes is search. Okay, that was in the 2000s. Now we are in 2020. So we just, instead of just trying to see, okay, I see smartphones as smaller PCs, okay, and I keep adding the same logic. What you need to do is you need to take away kind of what you have in the 2000s, keep the constant, so you know what supports e-commerce, and then you fill the gaps. So you know that the new hardware is that people use this smartphone. If you don't know, like, you should just look at your traffic or where your traffic comes from. It doesn't take a genius. Connectivity, you know that it's 4 or 5G right now. So it promotes a different kind of like smartphone and access to information all the time, promotes a behavior that is called interaction. That's what mobiles are for. Okay, and if you're asking yourself, what is the next thing? Where should I enable people to access my content? Or how are they going to interact with my content? Well, basically, you're missing one element, which is AI. Okay, so AI is what enables people on their smartphone to ask and get any content they want instantly. Okay, so why am I telling you this? Because you're seeing stuff online. You're hearing about chatbots. You're hearing about many things, but many of you consider that it might be a gadget, or it might kind of replace human beings, or you might not be so attracted to it because precisely you're comparing it to human service. But in fact, what I'm trying to explain to you here is that it's a misconception, that in fact AI replaces not human being, but it just enables people to consume your content on their mobile device. Okay, so it's not here to replace human beings, and it's taking many shapes and forms. Okay, you've probably heard sometimes about chatbots. You probably heard that your customers like to interact with you via WhatsApp, WeChat, Facebook Messenger, Line, Instagram. You may even have heard that Google launched a new feature on Google My Business that is called Google Messages. Okay, so from now on, your customers are able to message your business or access any content they want from your hotel there, provided you have a chatbot, of course. And there is even, like, Google itself is even evolving to kind of a chatbot itself. You see, if I ask a question to Google, here what I see is an answer. Okay. The problem is that hotels are quite bad at managing this kind of change, and they are not seeing it. And OTAs are right now stealing your visibility, just like it's happening with the Nay Han in Thailand right now. You see, I ask a question, any question about the Nay Han, for example, check-in time, and what I get is an answer. But the problem is that this answer comes from Agoda. Problem is that Agoda gets the traffic, not only on this question, but on all the kind of questions that you can imagine, and gets the booking, okay? So what I'm trying to explain to you is that you should not see AI or chatbots as a gadget, but really as an enabler for customers to consume your content, okay? In fact, many hotels, or even like you know, if I take the case of the hotel Henna, you know, many people, when they think about innovation, they tend to focus on the top of the pyramid, you know. When executives want to make something, they want something shiny, if possible, a little bit cheap, and that's what they focus on. I will give you the example if you want to do some research, if we are talking about chatbots, on, for example, Phil Welcome from Accor, which was like a chatbot developed by Accor that was supposed to be the next big thing. Okay, the project was cancelled because it had a great personality, a great name, a great logo, but it didn't know how to do anything. So now that you know that AI, chatbots, etc., are part of your basically of your future e-commerce strategy, well, you need to kind of think on how you're really going to decide what you're going to invest in. And please do not invest in fancy shit. Invest in stuff that will help you sell rooms, that will help you reduce intermediation costs, for example, help you increase direct bookings, and that will help you deliver a service that is convenient to your customers. All the rest, you know, I'm not a very big fan of the term digital concierge when thinking about chatbots, because we are not there yet. Like the AI that is available to make, for example, chatbots is not yet at the level of being kind of a virtual a friend or whatever, okay? What chatbots can do right now is help you sell room, because they help you deliver your content everywhere and they help you engage customers. They, as a result, since they help you sell rooms, they sell room direct, so it increases profits. And it reduces the volume of phone calls and emails that your staff receives, and it enables instant answers. So that's really what you should focus on. All the rest, I mean, are chatbots going to be human beings? Are they delivering a service that is equal in quality, etc.? That's just irrelevant, okay? Because right now you have staff that is not answering the phone, that you have direct bookings that are not being taken, and you have customers that go to your website and do not end up booking a room. So that's why you need an AI. Don't worry too much about like a chatbot being the customer's best friend, or even stealing the light of your staff, okay? Because right now you have a basic need, which is your customers are mobile and they have a hard time accessing static content on your website, because mobile is for interaction, not for search, okay? So I'll give you some key use cases, okay? I chose a hotel that is away from APAC, okay? This way it's easier to share numbers, okay? So after a couple of months of implementation, okay, this hotel, Corales de India in Colombia, was able to automate about 95% of chat conversations, okay, which saved per month about like 7 working days, okay? If you take 3 minutes per conversation and you multiply it by the number of conversations, and then you make the equivalence with like a human working time, and you realize that you've saved 7 working days, okay? And the good thing is that this hotel is now able to answer customers' requests 24/7. And basically, it also proved very useful to increase direct bookings, okay? So basically, I'm going to explain the key use cases. Okay, right now there is a shortage of staff. Okay, so an idea of where you could probably leverage AI and start kind of seeing benefits is probably like first, you know, you have customers that are using all mobile platforms to interact with you, and if, for example, you are not on these mobile platforms, in fact, you're just putting your head in the sand, okay? Because mobile is here to stay. And mobile means that web is just a platform among others. So your customers are interested in talking to you through different communication channels. If you decide to not listen, it's a different problem. If you decide to listen and do everything manually, well, since I've tried to show you that AI is a trend that is here to stay, well, trying to kind of do everything manual is a problem that is gonna take all the time of your staff and reduce your ability to service people on property. And there is another issue, which is maybe not right now, but very soon you will be welcoming back people from all over the world that can ask you at any time a question in a different language. And the inability to answer, for example, last time I wanted to book a hotel in Phuket, I asked through the chat. And because I was speaking in English, the person very soon stopped answering to me. Okay, so these are things that cost you money, that take time to your staff, and basically that you could perfectly automate today with AI. Okay, and your staff will always be in-house to take care of your guests. Okay, but online there is a shortage of service, and when you try to kind of put men on online, for example, for manning the chat, usually you can't address so many channels. It takes time to answer, and there is a language barrier. In terms of direct sales, well, you can reuse the fact that you open different channels, since now you reduce the cost of maintaining interactions through these channels. You can leverage them for sales, okay? Because in fact, if you want to increase sales, you can do two things. You increase your visibility. So basically, if you're on more channels, that's what you do. And you try to capture a new kind of customer, okay? You see, right now, most of you have a good booking engine. Okay, if you don't have a good booking engine, well, buy one. I mean, we're in 2021. A good booking engine means that your customers will be able to buy if they want to. Okay, if they are convinced, they will buy. The thing is that many people just are hesitant. Okay, and that's a new target for you. Right now, you know, you are on a web mentality, which means that you see, you expect people to be like doing self-service, booking their room on their own. Okay, and that's great. Now you get direct bookings, some direct bookings. If you want to increase your direct bookings, it's not by making your booking engine slightly more. You know, if you have a good booking engine, it's not by making your booking engine slightly more efficient. Okay, it's by addressing a new kind of customers. And what interaction and AI enable you to do, okay, is to instantly answer to customer queries, doubts, clear out any questions they have, and proactively guide them through the booking funnel. Like, quick note here: when people are surfing the internet, you don't know who they are. Okay, you don't know necessarily what they do on your website, and you have a very limited ways to re-engage. When people are interacting with you, since things are in written, it is extremely easy at the same time as you answer their doubts to capture information about them, such as their name, their email, their phone number, their date of stay, etc., etc. So you can actually now be much more proactive than you were before. For example, a chatbot conversation that was a booking request. Okay, you can answer customer doubts. You can manage the booking request. You can send the customer to the booking engine. Okay, and once the customer is in the booking engine, maybe he will not convert. So you can actually add one more step, which is, for example, send an automated cart abandonment email. Okay, so that, for example, people that are planning their trip, if it's on holiday, for example, they might be looking when they're talking to the chatbot. And what you do is you send something that is structured, that makes sense, that gives a clear idea of pricing, a clear idea of the service. And this way, the customer will be in one click, okay, able to go back to your booking engine and finish the request without having to go back to the internet, surf, maybe end up in booking.com. And you know, some hotels, for very big booking requests, instead of sending an email, they, because the email can be automated, okay, so, but for big booking requests, they even call like the person to kind of finish like the sale, okay? So you see, you move from a mindset that was someone going to my website and booking or leaving, to someone touching me through any communication channel, which is more than your website, guiding them to the booking funnel. Once they are very qualified, if they do not book, you have the power to re-engage, okay? And that changes your processes, of course, but it is an entirely new way to capture customers that you didn't use before, okay? Like, if you remember, one thing from all I've said is that you see, you shouldn't invest in technologies that are futuristic. You should invest in technologies that are useful, okay? We all have a sexy image of AI. You know, we think about Terminator or this kind of thing. But in fact, AI is just something that enables people to do e-commerce on mobile much more easily, because mobile is about interaction. So when you think about customer experience, you know, right now we are at a crossroads. Okay, you have your website that is kind of the path that you have designed for your customers, and that was fine when it was like only your website and no one was enabling any other kind of service. But now, like, mobile is kind of a second generation of digital. You know, you have the first wave of digital that was web, okay, that was based on what I explained at the beginning in the 2020s. And in the 2000s, you know, the first appearance of web. And now in the 2020s, well, we are at the age of assistance. So basically, either you will only benefit from the customers that accept to go through your processes, okay, your website, or you decide to open yourself to customers that actually expect you to adapt to them, okay? And basically, if you want to be able to man all these platforms, AI is what you need, okay? Unfortunately, you're not the only ones to see the opportunity, okay? So you can decide to do nothing, okay? Just like many hotels did in the 2000s when web started, you know, they decided to ignore. The problem is that other people are seeing the opportunity as well, and the world is changing. And you can decide to do nothing. It's not going to be the safe way, because basically other people are going to run over you, okay? And that's what happened 20 years before. So just as 20 years before, you can see that OTAs here, you know, for example, Booking, are leveraging AI, and they've been leveraging AI for quite some time already, like 2 or 3 years. You can see that you see on Google featured snippet, which is you see what I've shown you at the beginning. OTAs are mostly occupying those spaces. You could occupy those spaces, okay? And if you don't, the more you wait, the more like other people will learn about how AI works and how to leverage it better, and you will be just behind, okay? So all this was to kind of explain to you where you stand, or give you a vision of where you stand in terms of digital, okay? You see, here you have a very simple representation, okay? Here, let's say that technology 1 is web, okay? Web-based or desktop-based technology. Let's say that technology 2 is AI, chatbots, or how you want to, like, chatbots are a manifestation of AI, okay? But I use the 2 words because some people understand better. Okay, what I'm saying is you shouldn't stop investing in web, because it's at the moment we are, let's say, at point C in time, okay? And right now, web has never given you a better performance, okay? The problem is that you have reached the potential of web, okay? You will keep like getting bookings, etc., but you will plateau, okay? There is a new technology, okay, that is growing very fast, and that is like I've tried to explain to you, okay, part of your future, okay? And right now you are in this zone because your web is working better than ever, like take away like in terms of efficiency, I mean, take away the crisis, okay? But web has never been as efficient, okay? And there is a new technology that at the moment will bring you fewer bookings than the web, okay? But that has a lot of potential. So your strategy is first to decide the date for change, because your website is not going to break, okay? And have a very clear vision of what this technology is. And this vision is based on qualitative analysis, okay? You see what I've given you here when I said, okay, you see here is I don't know if I can change. Here is like e-commerce in the 2020s, and here is e-commerce today. Okay, well, this, you see, this is a model. A model is based on like focusing on what's essential. You know, I just try to kind of find constants. It's easy to share, and if you do not agree with me, you can build your own. Okay, it's open to discussion. Okay, so you see, instead of trying to like do marginally better than last year, maybe the solution is to do different. Okay, because right now, okay, if you don't set a date and you keep being only web, you will never be able to catch up with other actors that have been starting to invest and learn before than you. If I decide to go to China tomorrow, even if I am a billionaire, I won't be able to learn Chinese in one day. Okay, it's the same thing with technology. It's not because one day you decide to change that change is gonna happen instantly. In fact, you see, when you change, and especially when you think about disruptive innovation, you have a cost of early use. Okay, because disruptive innovation transforms your processes. Okay, so if you transform your processes, it means that you will need to learn, and it has a kind of it costs an effort. Okay, the alternative, I mean, if you want, you can stay on your steady small line of marginal improvements that will go on forever. Okay, but right now, I think that you know that the world is changing very fast and that you need to adapt. Okay, luckily, the cost of change, okay, is reducing day after day. Okay, because well, AI is now very mature. Okay, for the use cases that I've described, and like the companies that do AI services offer much easier onboarding than before because they also are more experienced. Okay, so the cost of change is much lower than it used to be. Okay, but it's still there. Okay, you need to understand that when you adopt AI, it's not us, like the people that do AI, that have something to prove to you. It's you that need to have a clear vision of what you want and be ready to embrace the change. Okay, so for example, when I see people that say, "Hey, can I try it for 1 month and see if I like it?" I mean, I said just walk away because you've not understood what this was about. Okay, right now you're facing a disruption. You're facing a second wave of digitization, and if you don't take the challenge for yourself, and if you don't proactively decide to move on, well, you will be stuck in the past, and you will end up in 2 or 3 years in exactly the same situation as you are today with web, like dependent on other actors. Okay, so well, maybe think about it in the future. The key takeaways from this meeting are well, AI is as disruptive as the web was in the 2000s. The thing is that a disruptive innovation is not something that change from one day to another. It's a lot of things that happen. For example, this year only, Google launched Google Messaging. Okay, Instagram opened its API for chatbots, etc., etc. You see, it's a lot of small dots, and it's up to you to draw the line between the dots and see what's happening and act. Okay. Otherwise, you will say it's because I'm French, but I will use this image of frogs that you put in cold water. Okay, if you put a frog in cold water and heat up little by little, the frog will not realize that the water is heating and will boil. Okay. What many people imagine is that disruptive innovation is something that is changing from one day to the other. It's like if I put a frog in boiling water, it will jump away. Okay, but it's not like this. You have to understand that you are in slightly heating water and that you need to move before you're numb. Okay. The second thing is that right now you are facing a lot of challenges in terms of operations, in terms of sales, and AI is ready for this kind of challenges. It's not ready to become kind of the robots that you can see in Terminators, and it will probably never be. Okay, but it's okay right now for your digital challenges because it enables the things you need. Okay, It doesn't enable the fancy shit, but the thing you need, yes. And last point, the cost of adoption has never been so low. Okay, so timing is now, but you need to have the right mentality. You need to understand what's happening, and you need to be part of the process. You can't expect, for example, any external providers to have something to prove to you. Okay, you need to understand what you want, and you need to be proactive. Not expect that other people prove anything to you. Okay. If you'd like to discuss more, feel welcome to contact me. I mean, you can find me on LinkedIn either by my name or you can send me an email. You can scan this LinkedIn code, or also you can find my colleague Sandrine probably in the event application. She will be under my name. Okay. I don't know if you have questions. I'm done now, by the way. I don't know if I think the questions are inside the, no, I don't know, inside the chat probably. Yes. 10 minutes. Okay, we have some questions for you, Ben. We'll share now. What does the future hold for smart guest experience and personalization? Okay. Am I still on? I hope I am still on. In fact, I don't like the term personalization. I like the term relevance. Okay, personalization is, for example, yes, go ahead. Okay, so I don't really. I think the term personalization is misleading. What I think is the future is relevance. Okay, personalization is I create something just for you and then I throw it away. Relevance is I give you what you need when you need it. In terms of what the future holds is, I think you need to think about what your customers currently do and do not find. Okay, the seeds of the future can be found in the present. Right now, anything that enables your customers to have an easier access through anything via their mobile is a technology that has a future. Okay, and you know, smart guest experience is just anything that enables you to listen better and bother less the guest. Okay, so I don't know if this answered your question, but anything that is responsive rather than pushy will be probably something that has a future. Okay, so well, good luck to you, and well, don't hesitate if you want to learn more to contact us, either me via the LinkedIn channels or via the event platform. Cheers.